So, what even is a real life? And how on earth do you capture that in words, especially when the person you're writing about seems, well, more like a ghost than an actual man? Today, we're diving headfirst into the Hall of Mirrors that is Vladimir Nabokov's first English language novel, The Real Life of Sebastian Knight. It's a book that's way less of a biography and a lot more like a brilliant literary heist on the whole idea of truth itself. And this is what haunts every single page of this novel. Our subject, the author Sebastian Knight, is just a phantom, a whisper. So, right from the get-go, Nabokov throws down the gauntlet. How are you going to write the life story of a man who was, for all intents and purposes, a ghost? How do you pin down an absence? Okay, so this book comes out in 1941, and you've got to understand this was a monumental task for Nabokov. It was his first novel conceived and written entirely in English. I mean, think about that for a second. It was an act of what he called pure willpower. This novel was the bridge he built to carry his incredible talent from his Russian past into a brand new English-speaking world. Now, the novel itself basically invites us to put on our detective hats. So, you know what? Let's play along. Let's open up the case file on the life and the death of Sebastian Knight. Yeah, people have called it a literary detective story, and that's spot on, but I want you to focus on that one word perversely, because this is no simple whodunit. Nabokov is borrowing all the tropes of a detective story to stage this incredible parody of biography, asking if any life story can ever be more than just a really, really well-constructed fiction. So here's the initial setup. We've got our narrator, a guy who calls himself V, and he sets himself up as this noble champion of truth. He's going to write the real biography of his famous half-brother, Sebastian Knight, because some other author got it all wrong. So he sets off to interview old girlfriends, track down buddies, and piece the whole puzzle together. Sounds pretty straightforward, right? Yeah. But this is Nabokov. Nothing is ever that simple. And just when you think you've got your bearings in this investigation, boom, Nabokov hits us with the first huge twist. Turns out the one person guiding us, our main witness, V, well, you can't trust a single word he says. And this is where Nabokov pulls out one of his favorite weapons from his literary arsenal, the unreliable narrator. This guy, V, is our guide, but his compass is totally broken, and his map is one he drew himself. So we have to second-guess everything he tells us because his story is completely colored by his own ego, his jealousy, his massive insecurities. V isn't just our narrator, he's our prime suspect. This completely flips the script on us, the readers. We're not just passively reading a story anymore, oh no. Now we're the interrogators. We have to constantly be asking, okay, what's V hiding here? Why is he downplaying that detail? Is he actually telling us about Sebastian? Or is he, without realizing it, telling us everything about himself? And I mean, check this out. V basically admits it himself. He tells us straight up that his little quest has developed its own magic and logic, and that he's using the pattern of reality for the weaving of its own fancies. He's literally imagining entire scenes he couldn't possibly have witnessed, mixing up fact and fiction so much that I don't think even he knows where one ends and the other begins. But look, V's unreliability, that's just the first layer of the game. Because behind this very flawed narrator, there's the real magician, the ultimate puppet master, Nabokov himself. And this is where the novel shows its true postmodern heart. Postmodern authors love to play God, and Nabokov, he is an absolute master at it. He has what you might call tyrannical control over his fictional world, and he's constantly winking at us, reminding us that none of this is real. He isn't trying to trick you into believing his story. He's celebrating the artifice of it all. He's showing you all the strings and pulleys behind the magic trick. So let's just break down his game plan, shall we? Step 1, he promises you a straightforward biography. Step 2, he leads you down this rabbit hole of long, rambling side stories that seem to go nowhere. Step 3, he starts throwing in things that completely contradict what our narrator is telling us. And then step 4, the big reveal. The real subject was never Sebastian. The real subject is the book you're holding in your hands. It's a performance about the act of creation itself. All right, so all of this complex gameplay, this literary sleight of hand, it's all leading us to the climax of the investigation, the point where the whole idea of a single, stable identity just starts to crack and dissolve. So we start out with these two very different figures, right? You've got V, the investigator, who seems solid. And then you've got Sebastian, the ghostly subject of the book. But as V goes deeper and deeper, the line between them it doesn't just blur, it evaporates. V starts living in Sebastian's memories, thinking his thoughts. The biographer starts to literally melt into his subject until you can't tell them apart. They become two halves of one single thing.
And it all builds to this absolutely stunning final line. The masquerade is over. The mask that V thought he was holding up to examine his brother has now fused to his own face. The investigator has become the mystery he was trying to solve. The whole question of the real life of Sebastian Knight isn't just left unanswered, it's been totally obliterated.
So, where does that leave us? Our neat little investigation into one man's life has completely fallen apart, but in the rubble, Nabokov has built this incredible monument to the nature of art, reality, and what it even means to leave a legacy. So let's just run through the big takeaways here. First off, the idea that maybe, just maybe, it's impossible to ever truly know another person. Second, that any biography is, by its very nature, a kind of fiction. Third, that crazy, dizzying dance between what we call art and what we call reality. And finally, this really radical idea that identity isn't some fixed thing you're born with, but something that's fluid, something you're always performing. And this is why this novel is so incredibly important in Nabokov's career. This book was the moment he completely reinvented himself in a new language. He used this twisted, self-aware story as the very bridge to carry his genius from one world into the next. Which, of course, leaves us with one last, haunting question to chew on. If every biography is a fiction, a weaving of fancies, then where does the real life of an artist actually exist? Is it in the work they leave behind? Is it in the jumbled-up memories of the people who knew them? Or is it, just like Sebastian Knight himself, an elusive phantom, forever just beyond our grasp?